Hockey. Welcome back. Happy Memorial Day for Hard Hat Hockey's first holiday celebration. And today, if we give a service member or a veteran just one escape for 1 second to enjoy this podcast, then we've done our job. We've got a lot to talk about. Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals have been absolute coal mines. Boys getting to work here live in California. It is Monday, May 27th, and obviously with my good buddy across the country, Grant Miller. Grant, what's up, man?
How we doing, Trent? Fun holiday weekend. You know, the holiday's an important one for both of us. You know, we take our time to remember those not lost on us, but it's playoff hockey. It's kind of the beginning of the summer. So take some time to enjoy that too. And I'm glad that you're tuning in and listening, and we're kind of rolling here, man. We're just in the groove every weekend. Let's record, let's talk, let's get the hockey going. Yeah, been having a great time.
It is a groove, starting to really ride the wave, and the closer we get to June, the closer we get to the Stanley Cup, and the closer we get to a lot of off-season moves that we'll be talking about today. For this episode, we've got the Eastern Conference and Western Conference final rundown. We got a little fan shout-out, the history of some beer drinking for fan bases in the NHL, what's next for the Vancouver Canucks, NHL housekeeping, and of course, as always, our hard hats of the week. And the question for this week, fans, we want you to reach out, Facebook, Twitter, our email, as always, hardhathockey1@gmail.com. We're going to give the mascots some love. What is the best mascot in the league? And what would you name the Utah hockey team? What should their mascot be? Let's talk mascots. Reach out. We'll give you a shout out all playoffs long. That's the deal. We want to hear from you. We're on all your streaming devices as well. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Samsung, Amazon. We're there. Come find us, leave a review, tell your friends. All right, Grant, before we dive in to our fan shout out of the week, just a quick score update. We are in round 3, as I said. Rangers lead the Panthers 2-1, and the Oilers are tied 1-1 with that game 3 going back to Edmonton today at 8:30 Eastern time. As a note, I recorded earlier. I thought you'd appreciate it. The first 2 games of each series, the road teams won. I thought we were going to see that continue. The Rangers obviously won last night for another road win. So it seems to be a theme these playoffs. And yeah, I did have a note that the goals were drying up a little bit. That just, I think the farther we get into the playoffs, we start to see goals disappear a little bit.
The games get a little tighter. The legs get a little heavier. You kind of have to like scratch and claw the puck across the line sometimes. But we still had some beauties yesterday in the Rangers-Panthers game. But you're right. Things get a little tight.
Yeah, that game was big time, and we will talk all about it. Before we get into the live action, we'd like to give a fan shout out. Last week's question was in regards to what beer you would drink. What's your favorite beer to drink watching your favorite team? Morgan Roleader from Louisville, Kentucky reached out. She loves to drink Michelob Ultra while watching the Columbus Blue Jackets at Nationwide Arena. How about that?
Go Jackets.
Go Jackets. Grant,
go Mich Ultra.
Go Mich Ultra. Speaking of beer drinking at arenas, dug up a little bit of a study. It's a history lesson on beer drinking in the NHL, if you will. This history lesson is sponsored by the Labrador Retriever Club. The Labrador Retriever Club maintains a special fund for the emergency care of Labradors who are abandoned across the country. Reach out today at thelabradorclub.com. What better way to enjoy the Stanley Cup in all its glory than with your new best friend? Go Labradors. Love that sponsor. Okay, Grant. A study conducted in 2023 by Time to Play, that's the number 2, concluded that the top 5 fan bases for most beers per game are the Maple Leafs at 3.9, the Chicago Blackhawks at 3.8, the Tampa Bay Lightning at 3.7, the Colorado Avalanche at 3.7, and the Arizona Coyotes, now the Utah nameless team, at 3.6. Last place, kind of shockingly, was the New York Rangers at 1.8, and the average spent there was $24.30. I thought that'd be way higher because Toronto's was in the 50s on average money spent per game on drink.
So the spend in New York was $24.30.
Yes, which correlated
New York
to
prices, man.
Yeah, and that's probably something to do with it.
Yeah,
people drinking less because it is so expensive.
I love an ice cold adult beverage at a Jackets game, but it is it's getting expensive. It's getting to the point where it's almost just not worth it. I think, it used to be like Yinglings were like $8. So if I did like a 16-ounce Yingling, you'd be hard pressed to spend less than $20 on a bet. And if you're buying for someone else, if you're trying to do like a group thing, you're having to budget your weekly spend into it. But those are some good numbers. Blackhawks 3.8. That's a lot. I mean, that is because stadium beers are like higher ounces usually. It's not like you're like 12-ounce cans. Usually you're getting up to like 24 or 18 ounces. So yeah, shout out to those fan bases, man. The Coyotes, I think were inflated. They had that college crowd.
That's a great point.
Think about that. Get those students from Tempe.
Well, if it's over 3 per game, 3 drinks per game, there's 3 periods in the game. So I think you're getting more than 1 beer per period. That's commitment to the bar.
Yeah, you're getting two beers trip, and then you're probably trying to squeeze one more in before they like stop serving at the end of the third.
Yeah, but to your point, if you're going on a date to a hockey game, you're in for it. That's gonna hurt the wallet a little bit. So, and it's one of those, if you're gonna go, do it right, but just be prepared. So.
Yeah, Jackets had like a new like updated far section this year where they had like I love Nationwide Arena. I love going downtown. It's a great stadium for like when it was built. Like it hasn't been dated much. Like it looks very cool, still nice amenities, but like concessions have always kind of been a thing. Recently, the fans have started to kind of perk up about like, it's really not that great for what you spend on. And they like updated this new kind of like bar area with like way more options. So you can get like Asahi or Sapporo. I don't know if you've ever been to like a sushi restaurant and had like those options. Very nice change of pace having that. And then, it's kind of like done up to where you can, hang out there, still watch some of the game and not feel like you're just like at a concession stand. So, the one thing that the Jackets can do is probably enhance the fan experience because the product on the ice, hasn't been phenomenal. But we're going to get into some of those changes maybe a little later on during NHL housekeeping.
Certainly one to be excited about. Before we do, Grant, since our last episode 6, the Vancouver Canucks were eliminated by the Edmonton Oilers in Game 7 on home ice, unfortunately. Again, road teams. For this offseason, what's next for them? Cap space, we're looking at $25 million. Restricted free agent, you got Hronek on the back end at $4.4 billion on his last contract. Artur Shilovs as third string goalie, could see that being bumped up to potentially the full-time backup role as of next year because Casey DeSmith is an unrestricted free agent. You got Bluger, Dakota Joshua, Lafferty, his last contract, $1.15 billion, and no points in the playoffs. You got Elias Lindholm, last contract, $4.85 million, 10 playoff points, started to come around as the playoffs started. Ian Cole, Friedman, Tyler Myers, Nikita Zadorov, 3.75 on his last contract. Casey DeSmith, as I said. Draft picks, they got a 3rd, 4th, 2 6th-round picks, and a 7th. I purposefully put the last contract for those I think they're going to be interested in bringing back, and I think that you'll see $25 billion is going to go pretty quick. That's a lot of bigger names, especially Elias Lindholm. If you do want to keep that center depth, he started to trend in the right direction.
He's got to be brought back. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be every bit of $7, if not $8 million.
Sounds about right.
Maybe even more, honestly. I just think with the open market and the reality that the cap is going up, next season, he's going to demand a decent chunk of change. Yeah, got to bring back Hronek. Shilovs, obviously, with the heroism he put on display. Dakota Joshua is a guy I think is going to be sneaky, a little more expensive. I think on an open market, there are so many teams who just watched him thrive in a playoff role on a line with JT Miller at times.
He might get that bump, that little playoff bump.
100%. Yeah, he brings the sandpaper that, in the regular season, guys like him kind of get lost in the mix maybe a little bit, but if you see guys like that thrive, and especially as it starts to dwindle, there's less and less teams, that's where those guys make their money, just because that's all everybody's watching.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, kind of in here, I don't expect too many fireworks out of Vancouver. I think they got a pretty good core. Guys like JT are locked up. They're going to be around continually, but 25 million doesn't go as far as it used to, though.
No, and I know Rick Tocchet spent a lot of time rebuilding that blue line, which Tyler Myers is,
cool. Yeah. Myers is the big one. Yeah.
Zadorov, just Carson Soucy even, who's still got a contract for next season. But guys like that, I think he'd like to keep all of them, frankly, just because I think Rick Tocchet is a big fan of the reach that those guys have, given that, they're huge.
Ian Cole, he's a bigger body.
Yeah, right. He wasn't a fan favorite. I could see them letting him walk if the money is not, if it's dried up.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Like he fits that ideology or methodology that they're trying to build. But yeah, you can,
100%.
Old school Twin Tower blue line kind of setup there.
Yeah. And Zadorov is another one of those too, like Dakota Joshua. He was an absolute menace, made a serious name for himself on an open market. If they don't get him, a contract that's, in the ballpark of this $25 million in cap space, that's a guy who could go get the biggest contract of his career this season on unrestricted free agency. So we'll see how it works. Free agency is a blast to watch. It's just so entertaining and analyzing, value finds. Like I remember Matt Duchene's deal last year with the Stars was a steal at $3 million, but then other guys, get inked for probably way overvalued. So free agency is definitely a dangerous tool for teams. It's fascinating to watch.
Some guys just can't help themselves.
You just gotta buy a name. Just gotta buy one.
Yeah.
On the exit interviews, Brock Besser did miss Game 7 with a blood clot injury that was a result of a blocked shot, is what we were told. And then Elias Pettersson admitted to a nagging knee injury since January, which would suggest a serious decline in his performance. Makes sense. I know, given his big contract kicks in, I know some people were calling for making decisions about him. That's your boy. You gave him the bag. Just be patient. It's like a Mikko Rantanen for me. A lot of people get really impatient with Mikko, but at the end of the day, you do have to replace that talent. Should you even think about moving him? And who are you going to get that's better than this talent right here?
Yeah, that's always the big question. Is goals and production have to come from somewhere. So
yeah, but you have to ask yourself: can we realistically replace this talent? It's usually no. So, which is where the patience comes in. So yeah, like you said, I don't expect a lot of fireworks for the Vancouver Canucks. It'll be a lot of replugging the holes with the same players. Grant, out east, we've got a entertaining conference finals have lived up to expectations. The last 3 games we've seen have gone to overtime. In the East, the New York Rangers lead the Florida Panthers 2-1. Just a little bit of a breakdown so far. The Florida Panthers won Game 1 3-0 in Madison Square Garden. The New York Rangers won Game 2 2-1 in overtime in New York. And then last night in Game 3, the New York Rangers won again in overtime. Shot attempts were 108-44 in favor of the Florida Panthers. So that's not shots on goal for those fans out there. That's shot attempts. So needless to say, the New York Rangers are finding a way, similar to that Carolina Hurricanes series. Even when they're outplayed 5-on-5, they're just finding a way. They seem like a team of destiny right now, and it's hard.
They had a shorthanded goal yesterday too. I mean, that's the quintessential finding a way.
Yeah. So Corsi stats are nearly 50-50, very slight edge to the Florida Panthers. Panthers expected a goal and a half each game. The New York Rangers expected 1.7 and 1.8 respectively. So it's been deadlocked. The power play, neither have really gotten going. Panthers did clock in one yesterday, so they're 1 for 8 on the series. And the New York Rangers power play was 0 for 6 going into yesterday, and they didn't score on the power play yesterday either. After Game 1, it seemed a little lifeless in Madison Square Garden. A lot of people called for an influx of energy, and where better to look than your notorious enforcer Matt Rempe. The energy in Game 2 was different. So whether you believe he's not talented, or believe that, he is talented. He made a difference. The hits improved dramatically from game one. Panthers led 38-27 in hits, and then Rangers led in game two 51-40. And last night there were no shortage of fireworks either, which we will get into some disciplinary action after we talk about the game. Needless to say, Grant, Panthers forecheck it looks relentless, but then guys, for the New York Rangers are throwing bodies out there. I mean, yeah, it's a timely.
Yeah. If we could talk just a little hockey here before we just get straight into the Chuck and Nucks point of view, which I want to dive into. But I kind of have a working theory. I've had this for a while, is in terms of like how the playoffs can kind of flow. Rangers, okay, they beat Carolina. Carolina, we've talked about how they play. Corsi gods, lots of shots on net, but the Rangers find a way. Florida, not to the full extent of what Carolina does, but they do have a similar kind of vibe to them. Rangers are already used to this. Like, they know how to counteract this. They know how to play against a team that's just trying to just overload you with pucks to net. And you get out on the break, you get guys like Lafreniere like free, and they got to put the puck in the net. They got to get past Bobrovsky. That's not always easy. But yesterday afternoon, they found the way. So I think there's something to like playing similar teams round after round in a way that you're already kind of locked into the strategy. Game two, they score that goal. Chaos breaks out after the first goal, and they came alive. I mean, I think it's exactly what they wanted to do. That energy, Madison Square Garden, I know it's like a historic place, but it is kind of the yuppie kind of white collar crowd. I've given Rangers fans online a lot of shit over the years. They're fired up right now. There's a ton of Rangers fans at the game yesterday. All those transplants, dude, down in Florida. So, I mean, they were fired up. Things are kind of moving in the Rangers direction, I would say, but the Panthers have enough talent to get back in this. But I just think the Rangers, like kind of what you mentioned, have a team of destiny kind of feel right now because they're locked in. They're finding the gaps between the Panthers defense and, they made quick work of it in OT. I think it was like 20 seconds in. I might be wrong on that, but it was early. Dude, it was early. And that just looked like a team that wasn't going to lose.
Yeah. To your point, the Rangers have been outplayed at even strength a large majority of these playoffs. A big piece of that strategy and just finding a way is leaning on a rock solid goaltender in Igor Shesterkin. If you don't have him, you're not surviving being outplayed at even strength that often.
So we see this year after year, man. It's just, who's going to get hot and, it's not the best strategy just to be like, well, we're just going to, have our goalie kind of carry us. But if it's going to happen, like, it's better to have, you don't want that part of your team to be a question mark, I guess is what I should say. And I don't even think Bob's a question mark for the Panthers. I just think Igor's he's outshining him because he's getting just like hit by so many pucks all game.
Yeah, for Bobrovsky's not playing bad at all.
Yeah.
It was good to see Alex Wenberg bounce back yesterday. He took a huge hit in game two that a lot of people called for disciplinary action by Dmitry Kulikov in the open ice. He got rocked. Was not meant to be. Wenberg comes back in game three, obviously scores the game winner. He scored twice. And yeah, it was big time. So that trade deadline pickup working out for the Rangers. GMs are always really happy to see that. Grant,
should we talk about the Trouba hit?
We also had an absolute rocket of an elbow to Evan Rodriguez's head.
Jacob elbow has a mind of its own, dude.
Jacob Trouba, who seemingly tried to kill Marty Necas in the last series, he launches that rocket from time to time, and that rocket being his elbow. And he's gotten in trouble for it before, and I guess we'll find out today. I haven't seen any announcements yet. He might be suspended, man. We'll see.
This is the Mark Messier Award winner we're talking about here.
It's a leadership award.
He probably had he had a good reason to do it, probably. No, I'm kidding a little bit. That was it. I mean, like, you see this in like hockey, obviously. Like you see this, we're sports fans across like football players who are just like dirty. And you're like, oh, like at a certain point, it's like, are there moments where they're actually dirty, or is this guy's reputation preceding him? No, this was legit elbow out. Like he had it up there for like half a second at least, like long enough for it to be like, this is what's about to happen. And then took him like, kind of hit him in like the side of the temple. Like it was insane. I just like it. He can't help himself.
It is comical to watch that replay, and again, not that it's funny. I love Evan Rodriguez, but how flagrant it was. It's like pointed out at full mast like a flag, it just like targeting his forehead.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, tune in here. Watch this face. And yeah, it goes down immediately like chaos ensues, which you can, if you want to be like, hey, we're going to take the game to them. We're going to get them out of their comfort zone. Great. That's part of hockey. Elbowing is a penalty. It is dangerous. Guys are moving fast. That's like a pointed object that could do some damage. So yeah, I mean, we're laughing. We're having a good time. I think Rodriguez, he wasn't like seriously hurt.
Yeah.
On that, but it's just, how many times is he going to get away with this?
Yeah, I do expect disciplinary action to come from that one. And Rangers fans are going to be pissed because Dmitry Kulikov didn't get anything for his hit on Alex Winberg in game 2. So fireworks are ensuing. And I think the Florida Panthers recognize in game 4, if they're going to bounce back, they need to respond physically. I am anticipating Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, the likes of them to cause
the muscle too. Like, yeah, it's not like we're watching a team that's all finesse. Like, well, the Panthers can take the body, and
it's no secret. Like,
we'll see it. Yeah,
Matt Rempe, on the ice maybe didn't change the difference that much, but the hits from game 1 to game 2 increased dramatically. New York Rangers physicality was on full display, and they won that game, and it's worked for them since. So the Panthers, they're going to recognize that. Paul Maurice is a smart man. He is going to call for his Clydesdales in that locker room to get nasty in game 4, and it's going to be a ruckus, especially with that Trouba hit. Oh yeah, game 4 is going to be it's going to be electric. Oh yeah, so we'll look for that. I can see both these series go to 7 games. I had the Panthers. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my pick right now. I'm gonna ride up the Florida Panthers, but in 7 games, but. Whew, I mean, it could go either way.
Yeah, I kind of lean to whoever wins game 4. I think is, I don't know. I don't like making those like kind of suggestions because every game is different. But like, if the Panthers come back and even the series, momentum kind of swings back to them a little bit.
Absolutely.
So if you're the Rangers and you got a chance to really put your foot down on them, like you've got to take it. So like this becomes huge.
Grant. We'll transition out west. Fly with me, baby. We've got Oilers. We've got Dallas Stars. Currently, series is tied 1-1. The Oilers did win game 1 3-2. Stars won game 2 3-1 in Dallas Stars fashion. The depth was on display. Not as much in game 1. We'll get into that. Stars were 0 for 6 on the power play in the first 2 games. Oilers are 0 for 3. So right away, obviously, no power play goals, but also not a lot of power play opportunities. Lower event hockey, I would say, out west right now.
That's a good phrase.
Yeah, 33. The shots were 33-38 in favor of the Oilers in game 1, and then 25-29 in favor of the Oilers in game 2. So shots decreased. Again, much lower event. The Oilers lead the Corsi at 57%, which is a pretty big swing for that advanced stat. Again, just paints a picture, doesn't paint the whole picture. Stars expected 2.5 goals each game. Oilers expected 3.5 and 3.3 goals respectively.
That feels right.
This is where the difference lies for me right now. The Oilers seem to be playing with a different gear than even maybe we recognized in round 2. The depth of the Stars is not performing like they have in the first 2 rounds. Specifically, we've got every line that Matt Duchene and Joe Pavelski have been a part of. 1, they have a negative Corsi 4. 2, they have 0 points, and they all have a negative plus minus. That line with Duchene, Pavelski, and Marchment that they tried out last game, 36% Corsi 4. That's terrible. That essentially,
yeah, but I saw a clip of Pavelski working out in front of the net after game 2, so I'm sure that's going to change.
Yeah.
I like Joe. I don't want to give him like too much shit, but it's like, we get it, dude. You're in front of the net. You put that, body right there and take the deflection. We get it.
Johnny Tip Drill. That's his game.
And the social media, kind of how like hockey Twitter works too, is like, it's just like, oh, this is a pro right here. This is a guy who knows what it takes. It's like,
oh yeah,
okay, like, let's see it on the ice. Let's see it in the actual game.
But even one of their younger guns, Jason Robertson, anytime he's been with Matt Duchene or Joe Pavelski, it's just 50%. And that's 3 big names that you're not going to win games if it's just a 50% Corsi 4. You need those numbers to bump up, and you need those guys, those depth pieces. And it's funny to even call them depth pieces because it is such big time names. And Duchene.
Yeah, they call him Duchene a depth piece.
Yeah, depth piece, Pavelski.
I'm sure he loves that.
Right. Robertson, like those. On any other team, that's not a depth piece, but it is depth for the Stars, and they have yet to perform, which suggests why the series is tied 1-1. So that'll be fascinating to watch as they go into Edmonton, a crowd that is very eager to get to a Stanley Cup final.
I bet they're foaming at the mouth right now up in Alberta. Yeah, this has been a fun series in a different way. The 2 petrol capitals of each country. So if you're on the fence of who to root for, ask yourself, do you want Canadian oil to win or American oil to win? I don't know. And don't get on me. I know Houston has more oil than Dallas. I'm playing with generalities here. It's Texas versus Alberta. So, something to think about.
Sure. I like that. I know I wanted to address, there's a big feel of Canada, Canadian fan bases feeling that the league is rigged so that Canada cannot have a Stanley Cup return. Given the very minimal power plays that the Oilers have received, I feel like we need to squash that. Dallas is a very disciplined team, and that's been apparent all season long. One of the more disciplined teams in the league, whereas the Oilers do take a lot of penalties, especially this season. They were one of the highest penalized teams in the league. So I think people just search for a narrative this time of year because they do get a little cup crazy. And that's probably going to be
certainly
the title of our next episode, because cup craziness, it's a disease. And to my knowledge, there's not a cure. I've had it before.
No. And cities have been ruined by that. I don't know. I guess, if I'm Canadian, the Oilers are probably easier to root for than the Leafs. Cause like everyone kind of hates the Leafs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I guess Flames fans probably aren't super fired up, but if you just like, if you like root for Winnipeg, or, you live in like Sudbury or something like that, and you're just like, whatever, we'll roll with the Oilers. Yeah, I guess they're probably I don't know. The Canucks, Canada's an interesting country. I don't want to speak for everyone, but if you're going to pick a team to just represent the country and kind of end that curse, a team with Connor McDavid on it, probably a good option, good bet.
Two guys I want to highlight, and then we'll move on to some housekeeping. Jake Ottinger in game 1, even though they lost, put on an absolute clinic. He robbed Connor McDavid in the first overtime, and then kudos to Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid took that high sticking penalty, drew blood on Matthew Shane's face, 4-minute minor right away. The Stars did not score. Connor McDavid goes on to win the game winner in double OT after being robbed, as I said, by Otter in the first OT. So both those guys played phenomenal. Jake Ottinger was a man possessed. Some of those saves, those should have gone in, and he kept the game going for the Stars. So kudos. All right, Grant, you good? You good out west?
I'm satisfied.
Okay, Grant, we got to clean up this house. This house is a mess. It's an absolute mess. Okay, NHL housekeeping coming to you right now. Mike Sullivan named Team USA coach for the Four Nations face-off that will kick off next February 2025?
Yeah.
It's essentially going to be a tournament. It's like a pre-Olympic tournament. The Olympics in 2026. This tournament will feature the United States, Canada, Sweden, and Finland, just for a little, duke it out, Super Smash Brothers style. Winner take all. Mike Sullivan, no stranger to the USA program, was longtime Pittsburgh Penguins coach and was the coach of Team USA for the 2022 Olympics. Right off the bat, love the hire. higher. Love the naming of the coach with the familiarity he has with the program. Takes a lot of pride in USA hockey.
I like Sully.
I think a guy
that depends, but I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, he's one of the longest tenured coaches. I think he is the longest tenured coach in the league currently. And we talked about that coaching carousel last episode. A guy for me, I think they should highlight as an assistant to support him would be David Carl. David Carl coached Team USA juniors the last 2 go-arounds and won gold. This
had a lot of success.
Most recent one. I think that'd be a really good fit. And if I'm David Carl, a really smart move. I don't know how that would work with coaching D1 hockey, but for this kind of opportunity, you might just try to figure out to make it work. But we'll see. Should be fascinating to watch. Grant.
Speaking of a little international hockey, we got to mention the IIHF World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Just wrapped up. The Czech Republic won it in their home country. I don't know if you saw any of the clips coming out of that. Prague. The place was electric. Hockey is such a global sport, and I love it. And I think you kind of forget about the Czech Republic sometimes. That's not fair to say, but like if you think of like, okay, North America, we got our bias here being in the NHL, being Americans, USA, Canada. And then like, I think we always throw like Sweden and Scandinavia and then obviously kind of Russia, which right now, not a lot of interest going on over there. But like, dude, the Czech Republic, they came out for this tournament. It was an absolute party the whole kind of month of May. And they got the championship over Switzerland. So, I mean, kudos to that Czech team. Tried to watch a little bit of this. I know Johnny Gaudreau got like he became the all-time leader in USA goals. There was a lot of good games in this tournament. I always like watching this as a team. Jackets typically don't make the playoffs, so I kind of shift my focus out to this. But good run up for international hockey as we kind of get back into like a Olympic swing and all that.
It's unfortunate because NHL fans, admittedly, probably don't give this tournament the respect that it deserves.
It's hard to watch. I will say that. You kind of have to know where to look. And just the way kind of streaming and everything's going, I don't know. And like NBC probably wouldn't pick this up. And then ESPN and TNT have like the playoffs to show. So it gets tough if you don't have like an NHL network, if you don't like know how to navigate, kind of trying to get like a VPN or something. It can be difficult, but although there's a lot of great moments out of this, the leading goal scorer of the whole tournament, USA kid, Matt Boldy.
Oh, here we go.
So, we got to keep an eye on him.
I did see it was the first time, I think since 2014 when USA or Canada were not in a medal game.
Yeah. So. And a lot of that had to do with it was I think home ice matters, international flavor. The Czechs beat the U.S. in the quarterfinals 1-0, and they were off to the races. They ran through Sweden. I mean, they were firing. They had a great team. So it was a lot of fun to watch this, and yeah, just wanted to keep the tabs on that.
100%. And we will, again, we're going to do a whole episode dedicated to roster projections for this Four Nations tournament and the Olympics this summer, which is quickly approaching. Speaking of big summer moves, Grant, Raleigh, North Carolina extended our boy, the drill sergeant, Rob Brindamore is back with his Army. He's extended his head coach.
It's the right move.
It's 100% the right move. I know we were worried about it. It did seem that maybe there was a little trouble in paradise, but at the end of the day, for the Carolina Hurricanes fan base and this program, that was not your problem. Your problem will lie in the offseason decisions that you have to make with that roster, but this man will lead you to the promised land, and there is no better replacement, frankly. On another note, he will have a different overseer. Don Waddle has resigned as general manager.
Different boss.
Yeah, different boss. Good, supervisor, if you will.
Yeah.
Don Waddle resigned as general manager in the Carolina Hurricanes, and immediately after signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets to take over.
So it's not official. It's not official.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh.
No, it's not official yet. There seemingly is a deal in place. There is a lot of talk here in the city that this is essentially going to happen. I'll break it down. Don Waddle appears to be set to become the president of hockey operations. That currently is a role filled by longtime NHL guy. He's been with the Jackets for a while. Was in the Rangers organization for a while. John Davidson. John Davidson's kind of been, JD's kind of been the guy behind the guy, Aaron Columbus. He is supposedly stepping down from that position, might stay on as an advisor role in some capacity, but he is, they fired Yarmo this season. JD stayed on kind of caretaker position at GM. Seems like ownership wants to go in a different direction. The link between ownership, which is the McConnell family here in Columbus, and hockey operations is a guy named Mike Priest. Mike Priest has been in this role for as long as I can remember. He is essentially the owner's eyes and ears within the hockey operations and, hockey platform. He is supposedly taking a step back as well. He's a guy that's kind of gotten a lot of flack by the fan base recently for just the lack of ambition, the lack of foresight, kind of maybe holding on to Yarmo for a little too long, maybe not navigating the Tortorella situation as well as it could have near the end, and especially hiring Babcock, which we all know is kind of a disaster. So I say all that to say it looks like Waddle's going to be the guy to steer the ship as much as possible here in this new era. He'll probably bring on a new GM, which, could be Ken Holland, could be Jeff Gordon. We don't really know. And then that might lead to a new head coach too at that point. I mean, you bring on so many new faces and new guys, they're going to want their guy behind the bench too. So we're seeing wholesale changes, in Columbus, which I think we're overdue for personally. I like JD. I think he drafts well. I think he's got a good relationship with ownership and fan base, but the past couple of years just haven't been working, and it's a results driven league. And if you ever lose sight of that, it's results driven, you get left in the dust. So Waddle's done a lot of great stuff in Carolina. I know he was in Atlanta before. That was a little bit of a different situation, but he'll have the opportunity to do some things here. I mean, there's still a lot of talent on the roster. I believe that there's a lot of talent in the pipeline. If they can just get some of these kids some ice time and develop in the right way and just make the organization and just take it a little step up, I think you're gonna start seeing some dividends.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that team. That's another changing of the guard, as we discussed. I think the CBJs are due for
it seems like they're waiting on the playoffs just to kind of wrap up, because some of these names are guys that are still affiliated with the organization. I mean, Waddle was just in Carolina. It seems like he's going to be sitting with the Jackets for the draft, which I find interesting. Because they say he just didn't have a lot of input on the Canes draft process, which that kind of worries me. Like, why didn't he? But whatever. I'm not going to get lost in the details. I just want this to kind of come together, and I want to see the vision for the organization here kind of take hold. Because the past couple of years with the Babcock stuff, with the kind of the coaching changes that were slightly underwhelming even before Babcock, we're missing a little bit. It's been a long time since, beating the Lightning. It's been a long time since the 16 game win streak. It's been a while since, Tortorella is getting the guys fired up. Like time has passed where we can't rest on those laurels. We need to start seeing the next chapter. And it's been a little empty in that regard.
Yeah. Don Waddle resigning in Carolina was a bit perplexing. Because you've got a great situation in Carolina, but perhaps ownership felt that stalling out in round 2 over and over again wasn't enough. And with the roster turnover, they might see this summer. Maybe he saw writing on the wall and felt that it was time to go. I can't imagine he resigns though without knowing he's got another home in place in Columbus.
100%. I think it's these guys are any role where you're kind of in charge and making moves. I think a new opportunity can always be exciting. So, hopefully he sees the infrastructure around here. He sees the youth pipeline and that he sees it as an opportunity to build something, because there's a lot of ingredients here to pull together. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all rooting for him, Grant. Prowess in Columbus is imminent. Grant, out in Los Angeles, Jim Hiller was the interim head coach after Todd McClellan was fired back in January. Fun fact, I got to see Todd McClellan's last game as the bench boss, and I saw him in the hotel at the Ritz-Carlton.
Hey,
nice guy. Rode the elevator.
Not a big deal.
Rode the elevator with him. So, yeah, Jim Hiller, interim tag removed. Since he took over for the LA Kings with the interim tag, he took the Kings to a 21-12-1 record to finish the season. Good enough to make the playoffs. Good move here for the LA Kings. We talked about their offseason a little bit.
I like when an interim guy, I mean, you make the playoffs as an interim. Like, I think you deserve at least an interview. And if you nail the interview, keep it going. So
yeah, I think good safe call by Rob Blake here. All right, Sheldon Keefe was hired on. Quick turnaround. Was just fired at Toronto. Is now going to be the bench boss for the New Jersey Devils. It was quick, but I think this works. I know a lot of people were wondering if it was too quick and maybe he should just take a break for a little bit in what was a very dramatic ending to a 5-year tenure in Toronto. And that's an exhausting, coaching assignment.
Yeah.
Maybe
even
just
if it goes well,
go to the lake house, have a Corona, just relax for a second. But nope, he's going to New Jersey, and it's a offensively fueled and powered team that really underperformed this season, which gives him a good opportunity for growth. And I think he gets them, at least better results next season.
Yeah, everyone was really high on the Devils going into this year. Yeah, I think this is a good move. I don't see this made sense. Like, I saw the headline, I said, yeah, that adds up.
Grant, this just in. Connor Bedard, in breaking news, has won the Calder Trophy.
I'm shocked.
All right.
No, shout out to Connor. Good for Connor.
Connor, good job. We all saw that coming since probably last August. Grant, Rick Tocchet wins the Jack Adams Trophy. He took your boys, the Vancouver Canucks, from 38 wins and 83 points just a year ago, out of the playoffs for a long tenure there, to this season, 50 wins, 109 points, good enough for the Pacific Division title and a round 2 exit in Game 7 this year. You got to wonder if they had Brock Besser, maybe that Game 7 looks a little bit different. We didn't really talk about it, but they looked flat for a lot of that game. To really turn it on, I thought they were going to come back there at the end.
We thought they had it, yeah.
That was funny.
That was electric. That was electric.
I thought they were going to do it.
That arena was fired up. I know we made some jokes about Riot Watch and kind of the Canucks fan base, and that was all just slightly tongue in cheek. I mean, that place was amazing during that Game 7. They got a great fan base up there, and they got a good coach and solid team. But that was a tough way for it to end.
It was no secret either that they were flat until the broadcast showed Owen Wilson on TV. I think you just get him on one time with the wow. And
to get some going. Yeah.
Get some going. And right after they scored 2 goals.
I was like wrapping up. I was like headed to bed, and then I like just had to keep watching. I was like, there's a 1 in 100 chance that they tie this in the Minnesota team. My girlfriend's like, what are you doing? I was like, babe, the Canucks are on the doorstep here. Like, you gotta understand. Just kidding me. But no, that was wild. So no, good on Rick. That was a good award. And I kind of forget who else was in the running for that, but they had to, he's definitely the no-brainer there.
If you follow our social media accounts, which if you don't, you should. And if you do, you should tell your friends. But you probably saw that we tagged Owen Wilson immediately, just to see if we could spark some life in the boys. Cause I'm one of those, like, you could probably predict the series to your best ability. But at the end of the day, I just like hockey to continue. So if that meant Game 7's going to triple overtime, bring it on. If Owen Wilson's going to bring them the power to extend hockey a little bit longer, then yeah, we're going to cheer for that. Okay, Grant, in a more uncommon territory, we saw the infamous playoff trade go down. A lot of interesting reading between the lines in this deal. So right into it, the Tampa Bay Lightning in the trade acquired Ryan McDonagh and a 2024 4th round pick in exchange for a 2024 7th and a 2025 2nd round pick. Ryan McDonagh's $6.75 million cap hit goes on the books immediately for a Tampa Bay team that has a lot of big-time decisions to make this offseason, to say the least. That leaves the Tampa Bay Lightning with just over $5 million in cap space and 18 players signed. Some of those, notably, Tyler Mott, Austin Watson, Anthony Duclair, Calvin DeHaan, Matt Dumba, Hayden Fleury, and Steven Stamkos, all remain to be seen if they will be brought back to the team. To me, right away, I think this all but seals the deal on the Stamkos future in Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, $5 million with just 18 players signed is not enough to bring back Steven Stamkos unless he takes the most historic hometown deal in the history of hometown deals.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I guess, Tampa had to get their guy back. They missed him. Yeah, I don't know. I love off seasons. I love the trades. I love all this. This is just one of those like 6. That's such a big cap hit.
It's puzzling, right? It's a little puzzling.
And yeah, he's good. Like he's important. Like if you're gonna I think if you're already a playoff team, which I guess Tampa is, then he's great to have on the ice. But if you're trying to reload or kind of rebuild a little bit, which kind of feels like they're at, I don't know, it seems like a lot of money.
And if
it doesn't keep you flexible.
Exactly. And if this is the deal that ultimately pushes Steven Stamkos out of town, which may have already been a foregone conclusion. Maybe they're already at that. They've already made a decision.
Maybe all of this is already taken care of behind the scenes.
But
it's just a matter of getting the paperwork filled.
On surface, from the fans' perspective, if this is the move that limits the cap space and pushes Stamkos out of town, this is the move where you subtracted an 82-point player from your lineup and you replaced him with Ryan McDonough. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how the rest of the offseason works out. It's a little puzzling for me, and it's one of those, you can't really judge it until all the pieces have fallen into place. And you can then make, the determination, oh, that's what they were doing. Oh, that's what they were thinking. There are a lot of moves that line up with each other. For example, I remember last year, Sakic at the draft, traded for extra first round draft picks and then moved one of those like immediately after for Ross Colton from Tampa Bay. So, they do have game plans more often than not. So we'll see. We'll see what they got cooking.
It'll be interesting because I don't associate Tampa with a team that makes bad moves. I'm not saying this is a bad move. I'm curious of how it's going to shake out.
Yeah, I agree. On the other side of this deal, the Nashville Predators seemingly cleared, again, $6.75 million in cap space. Grant, are they looking to acquire anybody with a big name that may be rumored to be moved?
Perhaps.
I don't know. Perhaps somebody in the Eastern Conference and on a Canadian team who's looking for a new home. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
That's a lot of space to clear out. I'm bringing up
the Toronto Maple Leafs could use an upgrade between the pipes. And I know a guy who's played in Nashville for a while who would definitely be an upgrade between the pipes. And that's just the kind of leverage that could move a big time name.
Okay. They might have 26 million in cap space. That's a good amount.
Yeah. The Predators are sitting in a good spot right now.
They have 3 second round picks this year.
Barry Trotz is a wizard. The man is a surgeon, and he's playing chess, not checkers. To stop being cryptic, Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs could very well, it's a fit. I don't know on Mitch Marner's side. His agent has suggested we have no intentions of submitting any team for movement. And then on the Toronto side, they've doubled down with the same sentiment. We have no interest in moving Mitchie Marner. That could all just be a smokescreen, and they're absolutely both talking about it. Or it couldn't.
Sounds like it's exactly what I would say if I wasn't looking for a move.
Yeah, exactly, right? There very well could be some talk here. They've already had discussions on where Mitch Marner wants to go. Or that could all just be fluff just because NHL writers, want to get some viewership this summer and are looking for headlines to write about. So yeah, we'll see. But it does make sense. Like if they could pull that off, it'd be a great fit. And I think it would make sense for both teams. The Maple Leafs could get better where they need to get better, and the Predators bring in a massive scoring talent, and they need some goals, as we saw in the Vancouver series. So
they're not as freewheeling as some teams. Yeah, no, they'll be a team to watch. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. All right, Grant, and another trade in the playoffs that we've seen is Lou's Magic up with the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders received a 2024 first round pick. It is the 20th pick in the draft, and a second, which is the 54th pick in the draft, and another second, which is the 61st pick in the draft. In exchange, the Chicago Blackhawks will receive a 2024 first, which is the number 18 pick, and a second, which is the 50th pick in the draft. So to make it more simple, the Islanders received more picks, and the Chicago Blackhawks moved up in the draft ever so slightly.
Thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah.
I got lost on the numbers for a second.
Yeah. It's confusing. The Islanders acquired more draft capital, and the Chicago Blackhawks moved up. Just barely moved up. It's a puzzling move. I don't know what.
I mean, the Blackhawks probably have a kid that they want.
Yeah.
And they know to go to Lou for stuff like that.
Go if you want to do a confusing deal that's gonna leave everyone with a question mark, go to Lou. He'll do it. They moved up 2 spots. So was it worth all that? I don't know.
We'll see. Hey, watch this space on who that pick eventually is.
That's usually a move mid-draft though. That where you see that the players are starting to fall, and we want to make sure we move up to get our guy because we project him fall. The draft hasn't even started, so
it has not. Yeah. So
we're just projecting that the 18th spot is going to be that much better than the 20th spot.
I don't know, man. It's
what
these ones that are all just draft picks. I part of me thinks is was there a bet that they had to square up from the year? I know that's not how it works, but it almost seems like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I guess reading between the lines a little bit, maybe Lou wants a little more draft capital for a follow-on move. That would make sense from the Chicago side of this. Maybe they project somebody to fall to the 18th spot. That
maybe they need goalie depth, and they're just we'll get somebody out of the second round pick.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. I'm really excited for the draft, though.
Yeah, I am too.
All right, Grant, you ready for Hard Hats of the Week?
Yeah, let's go.
The Hard Hats of the Week are sponsored by Leroy's Bar, located in the heart of Worcester, Ohio. Leroy's establishment has provided cheap pitchers and a safe haven for blue-collar workers alike since 1969. Leroy's can be your hockey home for all of the NHL playoff action. Drink responsibly and drive safe. All right, send it.
Yeah, I'm going to go reverse order. My number 1, Alex Lafreniere, New York Rangers. I think I gave it to him last week too. Kid's on fire right now. I love watching him play. There's a lot of former Jackets in this series that it pains me to see. I mean, not pains me. That's just how the game works. But Winberg scores that. It's miss him in Columbus. Lafreniere, one of those guys, draft pick, finds his way. He's just electric to watch. Number 2 for me, I mentioned him earlier, Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild organization, led the World Championships and points over the course of the tournament. That's hard to do when your team doesn't even make it to the semifinals. He had 6 goals and 8 assists in only 8 games played. Just like seeing an American kid let it rip there. Fun tournament, like I said. And then number 3, all the folks enjoying Memorial Day weekend with their families. I didn't have holidays a lot. I used to bartend and work construction. I'm not used to these 3-day weekends. They're delightful. I totally get why they're a big deal. So, take it easy with your family. Enjoy it. Hopefully the weather's nice wherever you're at.
Makes you really appreciate a 4-day work week versus a 5-day work week. How different life.
I never understood why people were fire. I mean, I understood it, but I dreaded these weekends when I was bartending because you're busy, which was good because you make money, but everyone else is having fun but you.
I'd love to have
Yeah.
I'd love to have a chat with whoever said 5 days working, 2 days off is a good idea. How different it would be if it was 4 days working, 3 days off.
I think we'll get there in our lifetime.
Game changer.
I think we'll see there. Yeah. Well, Trent, it used to be 7 days, and then it was 6.
True.
And then it was 5.
That's progress. But we stagnated at 5 though. It's been 5 for a while.
Well, thank a union, man. We got to get those guys fired up. Yeah.
But hard hat hockey, we don't rest here. It's always work, always blue collar. All right. My hard hats of the week, Grant. Number 3, I got Rob Brindamore getting his extension. Deserved.
Great.
The man's due for success. He'll get the Canes there. Number 2, you didn't see it on the ice, but I got Matt Rimpe just being the difference maker. It wasn't a direct causation, probably not, but you cannot deny the change of the energy in Madison Square Garden in Game 2. The physicality ramped up, the tides were changed. The Rangers have since won the last 2 games. Coincidence? I don't know. I'll let you decide.
I don't know.
Yeah. Talk to me about it. Reach out. Talk to us about it. Number 1, Connor McDavid bounces back from his 4-minute double minor in overtime in Game 1 to get the game winner in double overtime. The dude was probably due for more goals in that game if it weren't for the heroics of Jake Ottinger. So kudos to Connor. He's playing great. I love his press conferences right now too. He seems laser focused. There's no bullshit there. He's a man on a mission. So it'll be fascinating to watch Game 3 in Edmonton this evening, 8:30 Eastern. We'll leave you with this. As we said at the beginning, we're going to give the mascots some love. What's your favorite mascot of the league? What's the best mascot? And if you had to name Utah, what would you name them? What would their mascot be? Just imagine yourself in the mascot outfit, running around, fans giving you love. What are you wearing? Who are you? What's your name? A lion? I don't know. Talk to me about it. Facebook, Twitter, hardhathockey1@gmail.com. Reach out to us. We will give you a shout out. Everybody have a great Memorial Day. Enjoy the show. Take some time off. Thank you for all those who currently serve and all those who've served prior, and for those who we've lost on the battlefield representing the red, white, and blue. We love you. We remember you. This is for you. Grant, you got anything else?
I'm good, man. That was well said.
All right. This is Hard Hat Hockey signing off. We love you.